near your name, obviously, so I can just check it out
Mm-hmm.
without you linking it. I can see that you prefer Cybers or Jinx. That's the first thing. And your recent games are not super consistent. They are in terms of your top 4, but then like a lot of 7th and 8s.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't tell me too much. I went to the news site that Tactics Tools place.
Okay.
And that one is actually really good for this purpose compared to LoL chess. So basically, what I found out is you're
Sorry,
playing a lot of Jinx.
It's
with,
called Tacticals, you said?
Tactics.tools.
Tactics.tools.
I'll just link it in chat.
Okay,
In
cool.
Discord. So there are some things that I spot like immediately that look very weird.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing a lot of Jinx, right? You have 29 games out of your last 100, and your average placement is 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same for Gnar, and it's the same for Gangplank. What else was it? As well as Echo is 3. So that's like a big thing. You're placing a lot better with Cybers than you are Jinx.
Mm-hmm. I think my positioning is maybe
yeah, that's
culprit.
probably a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your blaster average overall is 37% top 4, which is an indicator you probably either shouldn't play it or change something up drastically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously something is not working out with that comp. Either probably drop it or work on it.
Yeah, I definitely want to work on it.
And it's a really good comp right now, so you probably should work on it. I wouldn't suggest you drop it because it's like the best comp in the game, or let's jinx this.
Mm-hmm.
I do think you should try out Rebel version, though. I think it's strictly better in every way.
The Rebel version?
Yes.
Interesting.
6 Rebels.
Oh,
it is
okay.
so much better. It's not even close.
Mm.
It is harder to play, though, because if you miss position once, you're taking 20.
Yeah.
So there's like a drawback, because you're going to have to play pretty high econ, not too streaky. You're going to be weaker for most of the game, and then if you mess up, you're going to die and get 8th.
Okay.
If you successfully get around that, then you should be really consistent. It's pretty easy when you high roll, because you can just play strong units with Rebel buffs. But if you ever get to 9, you should never stay in for Brawler. It's just not worth it.
What do you think makes Rebel better?
Bigger shields is better against Sorks. You get more damage for Jinx. You don't need as big of a you don't need her to be a big damage source like she is in Brawler Blaster. You can put like sword items on her. For example, you don't need stuff like Deathblade or IE or Last Whisper too often. You can just get away with Red Buff and whatever the hell you find, which lets you focus on other items like GA Spark for GP or let's say Frozen Hearts for Fizz. It's just a lot easier to come by the items for it, I think. In the late game, if you want to win, you really need like the GP and the ASOL 2 and like a Fizz or something to actually get the resets going. But you can easily top 4 or like top 3 with staying on 8, just getting like GP 1, ASOL 1, or just one of the 2-starred, even staying on 8 sometimes.
Got it.
But with Brawler Blaster, if you don't go 9 with a really strong board, you're getting bottom 4.
Okay, maybe that's part of it, because I've always been doing Brawler Blaster, thinking Rebels is weaker, so it seems I've had that backwards. It's probably part of it.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have that opinion. I'm like 100% sure that that's just incorrect. Like from my own games, because I've played nothing but Rebels for like 80, 90 games now, and I've never 8th once, not a single time.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's better.
Okay.
And I have no problems in the mirror matchup either. That's a free matchup usually.
Cool. All right, that's already helpful.
But you have really good stats with Cybers, though, compared to anything else. And I think you're probably doing a lot right with that comp, so...
yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable
just
Cybers.
keep doing that as much as you can.
Okay.
If you want to climb.
Yeah.
Like from your stats. You also have a little bit of an issue with Sorks, it looks like, but it doesn't seem to be that big. Your Riven stats are pretty good. It's just when you don't have Riven, you're probably struggling, because Victor alone has lower stats than Riven, so...
yeah, without Riven, I'm not really clear what to do. Like, I kind of have a sense that when I don't hit Riven, if I hit GP, I can run GP mech for Sork. But besides that, yeah, I'm not super up to date on like what the Sork comps are that are not Riven based and how to play those. Yeah.
Those are usually just gonna end up with mech or GP in the front. Most of the time mech, and then GP online, like super late, just for demo or something, if you don't want Mystic instead, or Janna in for Sork Guardian or whatever. But I haven't played too much Sorks. I've played it enough to where I know what I'm doing to a degree, but I'm not an expert on it or anything.
Sure.
Just because I've been playing so much Jinx recently, that's it's hard to play all the comps, right? If you're playing exclusively one,
of course,
for the most part. Sorry, my voice is a little bit fucked.
Yep, no worries. So, sorry, like, my
Um,
dog is barking.
okay.
Uzi, quiet.
So that's usually just what I do early, or in the start of sessions. Just look at the stats, see if I've spot anything. And in this case, your Jinx stats are lacking, and luckily for you, I play almost only Jinx. So
Awesome.
hopefully we can work on that.
Cool.
Or at least try to get your averages to be a little bit more top heavy, because you have a lot of sevens and eights. You have a couple of fifths, but getting fifth place is really good for the most part, unless you're like getting or losing a top two, making it a fifth. Being able to make seventh or eighth places, a sixth or fifth is just really good for climbing.
For sure. Yeah, I want to work on my consistency
eighth places
there.
is like, if you dodge bottom two, you're chilling. You're gonna climb so fast because you don't lose enough LP. But yeah, after this, I usually just go about playing games with you. If you don't have a VOD prepared or anything, that's fine too. We can look at that, but generally people don't. So
Okay.
usually ends up playing a couple games. I'll be backseating basically, but not as like actively the first games, because I want to see how you play.
Okay.
Depending on time, we usually do 2 or 3 games. That's usually how it goes.
Okay. I do have VOD just because I stream.
Okay.
And actually, it was a really bad Jinx game, so actually it'd be great to go through that. Yeah. Let me see if Discord stream works well here. Right,
that's usually the best thing, or the best way to spot problems, because if I'm gonna be there in backseat, I'm gonna call you out on like big things that you otherwise wouldn't do, or you would do, and I won't spot those things because I would be telling you to do certain stuff.
Sure.
Like I wouldn't let you just do something I think is incredibly incorrect or something, even if I'm trying to not backseat as much.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let me load a VOD here.
Yep.
It's taking a while.
Go for it.
All right. Let's see.
What's your peak LP, by the way? Because I know you've been challenger last season and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know LP. I think I peaked at rank 32, and that was in set 2. And then in this, I mean, I guess I peaked at like top 50 at some point, but that was before everyone got into challenger. So gotcha. I don't know the numerical ranking, just the ordinal ranking.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This game is
bad, top 32. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Trying to make top 10.
Like 1K or 900 or something usually.
Yeah. But I have huge swings. That's my issue right now. So
okay.
There's definitely something.
This season it looks like it's not super swingy. You're consistently climbing, but pretty slowly. Like it's gonna be a kind of win-lose kind of climb, but you're not like going up to 400, going down to 100, and then going back up.
Yeah. Like since the med set update, it's been a lot better for me. But still a lot of work to do. Okay, cool. So you want me to just let the VOD run?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Can you just screen share? I'll just look at it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you to pause whenever we have to.
All right, let's screen share.
Just taking notes if you want to run. My keyboard's kind of loud.
Yeah, that's no problem. Can you see it now?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, let's do this.
Here's a Galactic. What did you start? Started Rod. Not bad. Potentially a Spark. Items are pretty neutral, can do anything with them.
Yeah, so here I'm thinking neutral with a slight bias towards something that runs Blaster.
Yep. Absolutely.
But yeah, pretty neutral.
Swordbreaker. I actually think Rod is one of the better starts for Jinx comps, because you can play early Sigs and make Luden's Echo and Streak.
Oh, see, there you go. I never make Luden's.
Usually what I do currently is I take Vest every time. If I don't get Vest, I take Rod or Tier. Strictly because I can make Luden's Echo. I think that item is broken in the current patch.
Luden's Echo?
Yep, Luden's Echo. If obviously you get Spark, you slam Spark, but...
Yeah. And you like Chain?
Specifically Luden's on Sigs or Ari is insane.
Yeah.
Chain because of Red Buff, Guardian Angel, Frozen Heart, Rebel's bad.
Okay. So you have a bias...
Yeah, I have a bias. I play almost exclusively Rebels.
That's why I like Chain so much. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, makes sense.
And it's also good if you want to, like, if you get 2 Vests early, you can pivot into Mech or something. With Bramble Vest, you can also play Riven out of that because you get GA. You have a lot of options from Vest. I think it's a really powerful start. It's a lot of different paths that are super consistent. The only comp I wouldn't play out of Red or Vest start is sometimes Cybers, because if you get too many Vests, you don't really have too many uses for it. Red Buff is okay on Echo late game, right? And pretty decent on Lucian for the mid game,
Mm.
but it's not amazing if you get more rests than one.
Sure.
You can make Shroud, I guess, but because you really need those gloves, right?
Yeah, I usually go Rod just because I like to run. Well, I want to run Sorks, and I can use it in Cybers.
Okay.
And I like Ionic for win streaking.
Yep.
But yeah, Chain is super good too.
Absolutely. Like Rod is crazy good, or else Spark is. So that makes Rod really good. And the start is actually just really, really good as well.
Yeah.
In terms of units, if you don't hit them, it's gonna be rough, but you should hit some of these by the time Krogs come around.
So I look at my items here. It's I don't think I think about leveling here, just because I would have to sell part of my bench to level. Sure. And I look at this and I'm like, I think this is a physical damage game, so this is why I make a Last Whisper here.
Yep. Absolutely, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that. I think you're right now leveling. I wouldn't level personally. You don't have enough gold. You really don't pick up the stud pair. And if you level up and lose anytime before carousel, you're just wasting money. I am very greedy with gold. Early game.
So you'll take losses?
Yes, I'll be 60 HP if it gives me more econ.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that makes a lot of sense if you're going for a contested
I play from behind
unit.
almost every time. Yep. Like, I want to control my own spikes instead of just leveling up early, hoping I win streak, hoping I high roll a unit. I don't think that's... it's not the play style for me, at least.
Yeah, I usually play aggressively to win streak. I have trouble playing from behind, so... Okay. I want to... I mean, ultimately, I'm trying to become the most versatile player I can. So, yeah, I'm interested in your style, too.
There's not many players playing like loose streaky like I am, at least for early game. A lot of people don't like taking damage. Like, there are only a few people I can think about that also do this, but like a good example is Aegon, but he's way more aggressive with loose streaking. I still win sometimes. Like, I go for win streaks if I know I can, but I'll trade like upgraded stuff for money, just if I can play a better pair or like prepare my comp a little bit or my transition smoother. Alright, so winning here is pretty good. Also, happy you didn't level again. Or level here.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense if they're losing the first round, so. Unless you are, like, you get everything upgraded. Say you hit the Malphite, you hit the Vi, and you hit the Nocturne. Then leveling makes more sense. If you can still afford it. Because then you can probably force streak after that, but... when you only hit the Nocturne, it's likely you don't win if you find someone who leveled. And if you were to level then and lose, you're broke forever. And then you're relying on high rolling. The only thing I really see from this early game is that you're not scouting that much. So far, you're scouting a little bit, but like your infiltrator positioning it's been pretty much the same every round.
It's neutral, yeah.
Except for here. Yeah, here you moved. But like the early round, scouting is more important than like the mid game in my opinion. Late game, it's probably the most important, but early game you can get away with a lot weaker boards, doing a lot more damage, or even winning rounds just from scouting well.
When you scout in the very early game, like let's say 2-1, do you primarily prioritize people who look strong and play around them?
No, because I'm usually weak, I'm gonna look at the people that I can probably beat.
Okay.
I'm gonna ignore the people I always lose to for the most part, and try to high roll the player that I potentially beat if I position well.
Okay, got it.
And I get rewarded when I do, and it saves a lot of HP when you're still weak. Okay, so your items are vest, and that's it, right? Vest rod, okay.
Yeah, so I think probably looking at this, I'm hoping for Ionic or red buff. It's the most powerful immediate upgrade.
I would take Sud here, 100%.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, so I was thinking, could I have gone for a reroll Yi here?
No, I would take it because you have a chain vest, you get Sud 2, and you can pop off a rebel spat.
Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. I was only thinking about reroll Yi.
It makes you stronger immediately. You get an upgraded unit that's pretty hard to hit because it's a contested unit early game.
Yeah.
If you hit it, you're gonna spike like crazy because you have items on it. You also get to put in 3 rebels while staying level 4 here because you're already broke.
That'd be huge.
Yeah. So that would be a massive spike for you this game. And taking a 1-cost unit, even if it's a red buff, which is really good here and super important, taking a red buff at this point of the game, when you're this broke, or the 1-cost, sorry,
Yeah.
just messes up your econ all game. So like you're kind of forced to level here to get blaster in, and because you don't want to take out like 2-star Nocturne, obviously.
Yeah. And I lost my Zed instead of making a
Yeah,
rebel.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, this is already a mistake.
You can make 10 gold, and like you're already win losing, so you're not consistently streaking here. So you're not gonna get money back over Krugs unless you high roll a lot of gold. So it just ends up in a really weird spot where if you end up not streaking for like 5 rounds now, then you're probably going bottom 4.
Okay.
Because if you have like a semi-strong board, not super strong, and you have gold to back it up, and you have a decent streak going, you have like a more, what do I call it, like an easier transition. So I think, in my opinion, that's an easier transition. When you just have more gold, you don't have this much stuff on your bench that doesn't really make sense. You're sitting here with 20 gold instead. You have a consistent streak going. It's gonna be a lot more easy to know when you can spike in the future, because if you end up losing here, you're gonna not be able to roll anything stage 3 at all, which you probably don't do most games anyways, which is not what you should do. You should do it in certain scenarios. But
yeah, I
you
typically
really just want to make it easy for yourself and like give yourself the opportunity to spike when you have to, instead of relying on more luck than you need to.
yeah.
Basically. Hopefully that made sense. I might have
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
taken a weird path there.
Yeah, this is basically I'm kind of all in, both because I took
Yep.
something that's so cheap on Carousel,
Yep.
and because I also had to level and have no econ, so I have to win. Okay.
Yeah, you end up winning these two though, which is really big. If you end up losing one of them, it's like the 2 gold you miss from that streak over these rounds is so big, because it's gonna snowball really hard when you're this low on econ. And if you took a 3-cost there, or sorry, you took a 2-cost or a 3-cost, you would already be able to. You would have been able to make 10 and then 20, and then probably 30, at least 50, or 50 by 3-2, for most likely, unless you roll 0 gold here and like you have to pick up units, but just in raw gold, that's probably where you're gonna end up.
So from that Carousel, let's say I don't get the Zed, right? Let's say Zed's bats gets taken.
Yep.
You instead of taking a 1-cost belt to get red buff, you would even take an item. Let's say
I would
don't
go
know.
for Spark probably. Maybe a sword.
Got it. So you would take like a sword, which I can't necessarily use immediately, just for the gold.
Yeah. The only time I wouldn't take it, and I would like take this 1-cost belt. Say your opener was Kog'Maw, right? You have bow and cloak and a vest. You really need to make this item, right? Because if you don't, you're gonna lose every round. And you have to make sure you get this red buff now. It's like the only thing you can do. Then I think it's fine. But if you have the option to actually take something else that's worth more gold, and you can reserve more money, make more gold, be more like stable in the future rounds, I think that's generally worth it more. Because right here, you're hitting a belt. You already have redemption. Your items are going to be really weird going forward. You have to make a second redemption.
Yeah.
Which
it's not
limits
awesome.
your total amount of items. Luckily, redemption's a decent item, so having 2 is not terrible at all.
Sure. So going back to the point about when the only scenario where you would take a 1-cost belt, it's basically one where I have no other items and I just need something to protect my health early game.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Basically, or you have to finish that item because you have no other choice. Basically, like all your units say one thing, and you have like almost all the items. You need this one thing to complete. Say like a red buff rune early for Cog or something. Or maybe you're going Cybers and you have to take a 1-cost glove for your Last Whisper.
Got it. Oh, so like I know what comp I'm running and it's critical for the comp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Otherwise, you could take something really flexible. You could go for a Spark, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So see, I high rolled here.
By the way, I like the level there, just because you have to preserve this 1 streak.
Okay.
So
cool.
I agree with that level.
Cool.
And with these items that you have, because of the double redemption, going Rebels is actually hard. Those 6-star balls, because of double redemption, it doesn't really do much. If you had these components instead, you could have made like a blue buff and Warmogs, maybe go for a Spark. That would work better in a Rebel comp. Redemption is not great in that comp because of the shield. Generally, the units die before the shield goes down, and you don't get any value at all. So I don't hate the idea of going Brawler Blaster here. I think the only time you should do it, in my opinion, is when you can make the items work for rebels. You cannot get to 9 consistently enough with a strong enough board. Then you should play for like 5th or 6th, and that's when I play brawlers.
I see. Okay.
Basically, I think that's a comp that stops at 4th most of the time.
So sorry, just to review the redemption, why redemption is not good in rebels. Just to repeat back, it's not
the shields.
Yeah. Okay. So the shields make it so that the redemption pops off basically too late to be
Or
helpful,
too early.
or too early. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, while your shield is still up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically.
Got it. Makes sense.
Like it's not awful. I make it sometimes. Like it's still a good item. It's gonna be clutch every now and then, but most rounds it doesn't do anything at all. But here you're in a good spot though. Kept winning.
What do you think of keeping the cog here? Because I think I could have put in Graves, but I was like,
cog's better.
Okay.
Cog's better.
Yeah, because I was like,
Jinx 1 is fine if you have better items than this, and more protection. Like you have better or a stronger front line. Maybe you have a Blitzcrank, you have Malphite 2, you have a Sed 2 or something. You have backup to help her pop off, then it's better.
Okay.
But this cog on its own, this patch, with how strong Battlecast is, with red buff especially, is going to be stronger here. And it's even going to help Jinx reset faster by having this cog more with items, rather than giving them to Jinx. I'm curious about the positioning on Illaoi though. Is that purely because of Blitzcrank hooks? Or being in the corner with Redemption?
Yeah, I think maybe I scouted Blitzcrank for a round, and I put her there. But yeah, I was definitely confused on what my correct positioning was, and I tried several times because I was trying to get Rebel buff and.
Can you pause
block.
real quick?
Yeah, sure.
When we see the board again?
Yeah, sure.
So I think positioning for the Blitz is fine, like putting Illaoi there. But you gotta be sure it's a very likely chance you play a Blitzcrank hook in that side.
Yeah.
So like if you're tracking and you know it's like a 2 out of 4 scenario or something, like a 50-50, you have one of the players with Blitz. If it's 2, if it's only one player, you probably shouldn't position your Illaoi right there because it's gonna be a lot worse than almost everyone else.
Yeah. So is there a world where I just put Jinx in the corner and I say Cog's actually more valuable right now?
No, what you do is you put Malphite there. You swap Illaoi and Malphite here, you're still getting the Rebel buff. And then you can move up Illaoi either like to where Malphite is now, or you move it up if you want to just play a stronger board against snipers, for example. But if you're worried about assassins or infiltrators rather, it'll be better to have it where Malphite is now.
Okay.
But what you're doing right here is you're not even protecting Kog'Maw, so it's kind of you're protecting a Jinx with no items instead of your Cog with items. So if you put Illaoi where she is now, then you should definitely like have Malphite on the left side of Cog and like put Cog where Jinx is, move everything over so that you protect them from left side hooks as well, or right side hooks. You might have it scouted, right? But somebody can still move.
Okay.
Just hook your Kog'Maw and then you're dead.
So the principle here is Cog is the most valuable right now. Illaoi should be in front, especially because she has redemption. And
she's your Rebel 2-star front line, right?
Exactly. And Rebel buff is nice, but it's not more important than protecting Cog or putting Illaoi in front.
You can still have Rebel buff in play though.
Yeah. Okay.
So like you can still keep it there. It's a little bit tricky to get used to how to position it when you're backlining Malphites and stuff, but I mean it's lobby dependent. I can't scout the lobby right now, so it's hard to say exactly how you should position, but I don't think it's correct that it's Illaoi here. Malphite should just be in the corner as like a base of how you should position this, because you have 2 infiltrators, you can't protect them to the left. You gotta make sure you're scouting and know which side you're on. You probably, if they have hooks on both sides, you just swap Malphite with Illaoi and put Illaoi left to Kog'Maw, and you're fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you can just keep going.
Cool.
Let's see, what's the item you got here? Belt. I like the vest a lot more than belt, because you already have 2 redemptions, red buff. There's not really anything else you can do with this, unless you're going for a Zephyr, but then you're gonna lack damage significantly.
So
so many belt items,
and that I guess that makes sense if you're running rebels, because the chain can become GP or rebel spat.
Yep.
Okay.
Even in Brawler Blaster, if you're playing that, chain is still very valuable. Guardian Angel is a fine defensive item on Jinx. It's a fine item on Gnar if you're not running Redemption. Frozen Heart is amazing on Gnar. A Rebel Spat is really good in that comp as well. So it just lets you do a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think Vest just always has higher value than Belt in Brawler comps or Blaster comps. The level here is also fine. If you feel like it's needed to keep the streak going. If you end up losing with it though, then it is not fine. It was a grief. And it looks kind of rough here, so it might have been a grief.
Yeah, it looks like a grief.
So when you level like this and you go this low on econ, because you're not even making 20 here, so you're basically on 10 gold for this round, and you lose the streak. So you're gonna struggle going back to 50. You're not gonna be able to make a fast 8 happen or something. which is usually pretty important for these kind of comps. You already have Jinx, so you don't need to roll on 7 for Jinx.
And
If you roll on 7, it's upgrade frontline because you're squishy.
Got it. Do you typically roll for Jinx at 7, just a Jinx 1 at 7?
No.
Okay.
No. The only time I roll on 7 is if I'm absolutely dying. I have nothing to like stabilize me, like with what I currently like my options that I have currently. I think rolling on 7 shouldn't specifically be for like one's 4 cost, like a Jinx or something, or especially going for a 2-star of that 4 cost. You can roll for 1 if that one Jinx or something helps you stabilize. You have a lot of gold, but you're dying. Maybe you need to hit that 1 Jinx, right? But instead, when I roll on 6 or 7, it's going to be to try to upgrade my board that I already have and stabilize with that. Instead of rolling for, like in this case, instead of rolling for Jinx, I would be rolling for Vi, I would be rolling for Cog 2, Malphite 2, stuff like that. Maybe another brawler.
Let's say you had 2 Jinxes at 7 and you're not bleeding out or anything, but Jinx is contested. Would you roll for Jinx 2 there?
No, I would just ignore it and probably go 9.
Oh, okay. Oh wow, you would just go straight to 9 without going.
Yeah,
for
if you're
Jinx
super
2.
healthy, you keep like being strong. If you don't lose like almost anything until stage like or is it 4-6, 4-7 or whatever Raptors are, I try to I fast 9 quite a bit in those spots because Jinx is a really contested unit right now. It's hard to hit, and you shouldn't panic when people contest you, because most people that roll down on 7, they're gonna die early. So if you just stay with a strong board without Jinx, say you play a Cog 2 instead. Cog 2 is better than Jinx 1 right now.
Yeah,
if you have
for
red
sure.
buff and like a Shiv or Runos on it, because it's yeah.
Okay.
All these items are amazing. Is that a triple redemption?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think it's right in this spot because you have nothing better to make. I do think it's triple redemption, but I would definitely make Rebel's Path to go with it.
Okay.
It just has so much value. You already have a red buff. I don't think GA is amazing on Jinx. You can take anything off Carousel to complete this BF sword.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make a GA here. I probably shouldn't have placed the sword preemptively though.
I think if you make GA, you definitely don't put it on Jinx. You're gonna put it on something else.
Yeah.
Probably Sud or Vi.
Yeah.
I guess you're playing Vi later, right? So then you probably put it on Sud.
Yeah, just an item holder.
Same thing here. You shouldn't have Jinx in this corner, even if you're looking for hooks. You're just putting Malphite in that corner instead. You just let him get hooked. You end up not dying though, which is interesting.
I think I high rolled and I had a bunch of redemptions that were also really clutch at this point too.
I see. Yeah, you have so many redemptions actually. You could have probably won this round if you made a redemption mid-fight on a dying unit like Vi, I think, was live, or might have been Malphite.
Because you basically look at this and there's like no other use for belts really. I mean, I guess
you already have too many belts, and you have like there's not much use for tiers unless you're making Frozen Heart here. But I think then you're left with a dead spat, so
yeah,
probably better off just making the redemption, looking for Rebel Spat or Fawn. But problem is if you go for Fawn next Carousel, you're gonna have no damage at all. You need to complete this Jinx item.
Okay.
Also on Jinx, never make Infinity Edge if you can avoid it.
Really?
Like it's a last resort. Yes, Deathblade is 1,000 times better because when Jinx, because like her damage when she before ulti is still nothing with Infinity. Look at how little it's doing to that set. It takes like 5 autos to kill a set one.
Yeah.
With IE Last Whisper. If you have a Deathblade, by the time you reset, you already get 50 extra AD on a Deathblade. It's already at 75 stacks when you get the ulti off in the first place.
Yeah.
And after 1 stack, I think it's better than Infinity Edge. Might be 2, but it's like once she ultis, it's already better, and it's gonna keep stacking. It keeps building up.
That makes perfect sense.
It also works better with a lot more items because like you're not forced to have Last Whisper. You can play Runos, you can play RFC. You can even have no like bow item and just play Deathblade, red buff, and like a defensive or something. So I think Last Whisper is a bait on Jinx. I think it's pretty bad.
Oh really?
It's something I think it's something you make. Or not Last Whisper, sorry, I meant Infinity Edge.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, Last Whisper's fine. That's a good item. Don't get me wrong on that one. Sorry, this is my bad.
It's okay.
But Infinity Edge is really far down on items I would make on Jinx.
So
it's really good in Cybers, but...
I had a Cog 1 and I sold Cog to put the items on Jinx because I got a second Cog.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Because if it's Cog 2 you're playing at this point, it's fine. I think it's probably better if you have Battlecast in. But if you're playing 2-star Kog'Maw for stage 4, you need 4 Battlecast in. For it to be better than Jinx 1.
Okay.
At this stage. It's better still on stage 2. Or not 2, stage 3. To have 2 Battlecast and Cog 2 over Jinx 1, but people tend to spike on these rounds.
So sorry, let's repeat. So Jinx 1 becomes better than Cog 2. Why? At this point in the game.
Oh, without four battle casts is not enough damage at the start.
Oh, got it. So 2 battle
If
casts is
Jinx
just not enough
yeah,
anymore.
yep. Jinx is gonna struggle to ulti at 1-star still, like even if you swap items. But if she ultis, it's already better than Cog. Problem is she's not gonna ulti at 1-star a lot of the time, and she dies really easily. Cog 2 is really good right now, especially for battle cast.
Yeah.
I missed one thing. Can we go back like 30
Sure.
seconds? I want to see how much you rolled on level. Because I completely missed all that.
Sure. I think.
Okay, so you're okay right away here. Wait, you get one more round. I guess I thought it was 4-2 already, so this is fine. You have 8 out of 50 XP. You need to upgrade everything. You never ever level here on 4-3.
Okay, interesting.
Because the upgrades you gotta find, you need Gnar 2, you need Vi 2, Malphite 2, Blitz 2, Jinx 2, Ezreal 2, and then an 8th unit. That is probably like 40-50 gold worth of just units that you have to buy. And you also got to hit them. And that costs probably equally as much, if not more. So if you roll, like level up with 10 gold left, and then like you just roll down for maybe I hit Jinx 2 in 2 rolls. It's not going to happen. 90% of games. 99% of games. It's not going to happen.
So if that's the case, I mean, I look at my board, I'm like, I'm probably going to bleed out if I don't roll. Do I just stay at 7 and roll at 7?
No, I would wait. Either you roll on 7 for upgrades, but you would have done that earlier, like stay like 4-1, 4-2.
Yeah.
Or you go to 4-6, you bleed 3 rounds, and then you level 8 on 4-6 with like 40 gold and roll down there. If you don't bleed super heavily up until that point, say you're still like 40 HP by 4-6,
Yeah.
then maybe you can tank one more round if you're confident in your ability to make a pivot happen during Raptors. So you're gonna have a little bit of time, but if you can make it work, you think, then you can greed it. But because like if you don't make the pivot happen in the amount of time you need, like the only amount of time you have, you're still gonna bleed out after you made the pivot, right? So you need to be able to actually make it happen, because if you don't get it perfectly, then you're just gonna lose anyways.
Okay. Yeah, I rolled with 18 gold and hit nothing, so that's
So, and that's
wasn't right.
very expected. Did nothing with that amount of gold.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's fine to level and roll with 18 gold if you're missing maybe 1 Jinx and maybe 1 Gnar. You have Jinx, Gnar pair, everything else is upgraded. Then go for it. Otherwise, you need way more gold, and you're probably gonna have a better chance of winning if you lose every round until Raptors and use the extra gold you get. If you don't like have 10 HP, obviously you want to stay above 20 at least. You have 2 lives on stage 5. I try to not dip below 30. When I'm at 30 HP, then I'm probably rolling to 0. But at this point, you're still pretty healthy. Like I'm 49 on stage 3-5 most games.
Wow. Okay.
Well, not most, like maybe like a third of my games.
But with huge econ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least a stronger board, because I've tried to stabilize at that point. I roll a little bit on 6, quite like maybe every other game. I would roll on 6 on 3-2 just to stabilize a little bit.
Yeah, because you're usually
if I'm bleeding, because I usually lose streak early, right? So I'm gonna sit on a bunch of pairs or something, and then I wanna try to hit those pairs.
Okay.
Even more belts. Holy shit.
Yeah, very belt heavy game.
So the Morello doesn't really make sense at all.
Okay, interesting. I was thinking for ASOL, I wasn't really sure what to do with.
You already have red buff though, so
yeah.
Morello overrides red buff.
Well, so it stops the Jinx from getting the proc actually. Okay. Okay. Because I knew they overrid each other.
I'm not sure if it actually works like that, but it overrides the damage from it, so it's not gonna keep ticking. She already got the hit, so she's gonna reset once it dies. But
oh yeah, of course.
Like it's just gonna overlap on each other and not do it's not gonna do double damage or anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't stack on each other on the same target. Obviously, you can play it and like try to hit the right side of the board with Morello and the left side with red buff or something. That's fine. But when you have ASOL, they're next to each other, gonna hit the same units.
So when you get an abundance of belts like this, I guess the original sin here was going for a belt on carousel.
Yeah, the first one.
And then I ended up with way too many belts.
I mean, going for that one it's not terrible. It's fine. It's fine. I still believe that the set pick is just the best, and then probably go for Spark if there was one. But just because of the one cost.
Yeah.
And then you just got a lot of belts, and you kept going for belts. When you already have like 2 redemptions, right? And you
probably just go for chains. Yeah.
You need to switch up the items you're going for. Even taking like a cloak or something. I think, did you have an option for cloak the last carousel?
Maybe.
So if you did, Spark was definitely better.
For sure. Okay. So when I get Rebel Spat, anytime I put on GP, I feel like it makes it really
Yeah,
difficult to
GP should not
position.
have rebel spat.
Okay,
You should not
cool.
have rebel spat.
Okay.
Yeah, so just don't play GP without Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
You can sometimes play it, like if it's super late game, you're already strong, but you can add a GP because it's the best thing you can add. You happen to have a rebel spat, sure. Or you don't have a spat at all, and he's just naked, maybe with a redemption or something random.
Yeah.
It's fine. You're not like if you're relying on him to ulti, then never play him without Guardian Angel.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you can play him as an extra and you don't need him to ulti every fight, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I probably should have rolled here, right? A 4-6.
No.
Or just keep taking these losses.
No, taking these losses is fine, but you should have saved the money in the first place and been at like 90 gold or 80 gold by now.
So delay my 8.
Yeah, you could roll access if anything. Like you go to 50, you save about 50, you roll a little bit of access. Maybe you hit something then, or you just save it up and you level to 8, and you have 50 gold level 8 to roll down here with the same amount of health because you lost every round anyways.
Yeah.
Your board's not stronger at all. The only thing you got was a Blitzcrank 1 and a random GP. You don't even have demo in, so like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's just... And also you could ask yourself here right away, is the 4 brawlers on 1-star better than adding 2 1-star rebels? It gives you 6 rebels, more shields, and you can just play a stronger board. Oh, that's a high roll.
Huge hit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. When you hit this, you should insta pivot.
Pivot, yeah.
Instantly pivot. Oh, this
Yeah,
is such
got the
good
6
rolls. You get the Jinx as well. That would be kind of nice. All right, you're thinking about the pivot. You're picking up the rebels.
Yeah. I think I did go into rebels here.
It's definitely the correct choice, even though your items are kind of bad.
It's just my stronger board.
All right, struggling a bit with positioning here. Like your GP's not getting any buffs.
Yeah. This is just a bad transition.
Yeah, this is what I talked about. Like if you can't make this transition happen in the amount of time you have, then try to like even roll during the turn or something. Just like even if you lose gold, you don't want to take this hit that you potentially take here. It actually looks like you might win because the Ace is just broken. Oh, never mind. Oh yeah, Jinx. I thought that was a Lucian at first. That's why I thought he would win. But yeah, if you mess up a pivot like this, you're gonna take unnecessary damage you can't really afford to take.
So at this point, should I even be buying GP upgrades without a
No, you
GA?
should just sell GP.
Yeah, okay.
When you don't have GA and you want to play Rebels Pad on something, Fist is your best unit.
Yeah.
By so much. The only unit that's better than Fist with Rebels Pad is a 3-item Echo when one of those items is Rebels Pad.
Okay.
Or maybe 2-item Echo sometimes, but usually Fist is better than Echo because he ultis quicker, and it's going to impact the reset timer on Jinx. Echo usually takes longer to ulti, and he's going to spread his damage. Fist, you can aim him, you can make sure you hit what you want to hit, and you can control your resets a lot more. That's fine. You actually win this? You are so weak here.
I think I barely...
Yeah, Acel cleans this up.
Double Acel, though.
Yeah, the double Acel is like a saving grace here with 2 redemptions.
Which actually kind of sucks because they live to the end. So
yeah, they live way too long.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, Cell Mastery, I agree with that. He is the worst rebel out of every single one of them. Malphite is better, and he also is better. Because he becomes a glorified Malphite with less HP, that costs more gold, because he never does anything without items or Blade Master. Like, he's really good at 2-star like stage 3, as he's a unit, because he gets time to ulti and auto attack a bunch.
Yeah.
But as the game goes on, he doesn't without items. There's another thing. You don't really want to be centered with rebels because you get vulnerable, or you become vulnerable to like everything. Yeah, Nars, Fizz, like they don't have to position at all for you because everything's gonna gravitate towards the middle, and then you just get AOE'd.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing. You really need to position on the right side and in the right corner, like with the right angle and the right hex on Jinx. Like if you have to sacrifice a couple of hexes.
When you say right side,
pyramid,
you mean correct side, right, left or right?
Yeah,
right?
correct side.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, language barrier.
That's okay.
But you managed to stabilize and not make this on 8th. That's actually really good. You did well on that part. I can show you a couple of things you should think about when positioning with these. Like some basic stuff. There's a lot of things you do in different scenarios that is really hard to explain when you should do it but it just comes with games. But I can show you the basic things that I usually tell people.
Cool.
That can help. But the fact that you're not dead with this board at 5-4 is incredible.
Oh yeah. So you still think the board is really weak?
Yes, it's absolutely terrible.
And what makes it really weak at this point?
So you have. I need to look at the board again.
Yeah.
You're playing GP with no GA. He's got Rebel Spat, which forces you to be in the center of the map for him to ulti consistently. Okay, now you're not that weak anymore.
We just hit Ace 2.
Yeah, you also have 2.5 items on Jinx. You have triple redemption on like your 2 tanks, one of which it's gonna live until the end every time. So those 2 redemptions are just base stats, which is fine on Acel. Just having random stats, that's fine. That's why I like Thieves' Gloves a lot. Worst case, you get some dodge. It's fine. GP also has Morello, and your main damage source from Jinx is a red buff. And Morello overrides red buff. And GP always ultis, or not always, but should almost always ulti, unless Mana Reaver or CC Lock or something.
Sure.
And your Rebels are 1-stars.
Yeah.
Your items are sub-off. It's just a really weak board. And Rebels don't usually do anything until level 9. Unless you have Rebel Spat, then you can play on 8. Or you have Fawn or something. Because you need those slots for the units. The death cap is pretty big though, and here you're actually pretty strong. I agree with the pick of death cap. Your best ad here is still going to be Fizz, sell the GP.
Okay.
And not Fizz 1, sorry, for Fizz 2.
Oh, so you think GP 1 over Fizz 1?
In this case, yeah, because you have an upgrade on him.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, if not for the upgrade, then no. Then you oh, wait, what's happening?
I think I was positioning around a Zephyr or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, GP's so bad.
Yeah, that GP doesn't ulti GA. That's like you never get to ulti off versus Cybers without GA.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of how you beat Cybers with Rebels is GP. It's the way you CC Echo or Aurelia, so you have time to reset before Echo kills you. And then you just need to manage to clean up the Jing or the Vayne, which is usually a hard task. Unless you have RFC, then it's pretty free.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the big notes from that game were
your items were just really fucked.
Yeah, really bad items. So I should be prioritizing chain more highly.
Yes.
Or pretty much anything but belts.
Swords are fine. Deathblade's great. Like bows are okay. Like RFC's fine. Last Whisper's fine. Hurricane's good. Like they're all good.
Yeah.
You can even make stuff like Shiv just on a Kog'Maw because it's really good with Battlecast and Streak early just to preserve HP. I think Tear is a pretty good item. Blue buff is fine on Sigs too early. If you get a Rumble, you can perma-stun and just win fights off those 2 units. Luden's Echo is great. Redemption is fine. Frozen Heart's great, but usually you don't make Frozen Heart unless you have red buff already. Because it's so super important in Brawlers for your early game, or Blasters.
And
there's a lot of items that are fine.
When you say Static Shiv, where do you usually end up putting Static Shiv late game?
Oh, it just goes on anything. Anything that needs mana. It's going to be like if I need a slot on... I have a slot on Fizz. I have a slot on Ezreal for a quicker ulti. Maybe I have a Sed too that's going to proc the ulti a lot. Or he keeps doing a lot of work in fights. Maybe that's worth... Like, it just goes on anything.
Cool.
It would just be a streak item, kind of like Luden's, but Luden's has a better spot late game on Acel. Or even GP.
Got it. And then it feels like the big error in stage 3 was my positioning, like not just having Malphite in the corner.
Positioning, yes, your stage 3 was fine for the most part. It was just positioning. Your stage 2 was not that great. Your stage 3 or stage 4 wasn't that great either. Stage 5 was fine. You did fine with it. You had your positioning was a little bit off. But for the most part, it was fine outside of those things. But the big thing is like the early decisions, carousel picks in terms of items. Now you didn't have many choices because you were kind of high on HP early, so you got very late picks and ended up with the same items you already had. And you can't really do much about that sometimes, but you could try to make stuff like you can make the best out of the situation you're put in, right? To try to, but like getting a non-8th this game after how stage 4 went and stage 2. That's just a win. Like you take.
This game I was like. I knew I was playing badly, so I was like, I'm happy with the 6th. But in stage 4, the big issue was not rolling, like not econing correctly, right?
Yep, rolling too early, playing not the strongest board at all points.
Yeah,
stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of, especially with Rebels. If Brawler Bastards, you're going to stay in the same type of combo game. But Rebels, if you don't like hit the early Jinx or you're contested, you're going to have to pivot around a fuck ton. between a lot of different comps.
Do you usually end up going straight into Rebels, or do you go like Brawler Blaster into Rebels?
I play Brawl Buster up until like level 9 sometimes.
Okay,
but when I
got it.
feel like it's not strong enough anymore, and it's usually stage 5 when it starts becoming bad, then I pivot.
Got it.
I might become weaker, but at least I get the money back from selling all those brawlers, and then I can more quickly go 9.
Got it.
And also have more gold to find the stuff I need. Or even if like sometimes I don't go 9, I have to stay on 8. And then you just roll with that money.
Got it. Perfect.
I'm willing to sell a stronger board of brawlers when I know that they're gonna fall off to try to find my units like before I die.
And that might be like mid stage 5 or something.
Yeah. I might take like a little bit more damage during a fight, but I'm still losing that fight regardless. But maybe I can hit my upgrades with that gold that I get.
And why
Nar's a really good unit to keep for a long time though. Nar and Blitz you can play for a long time.
Yeah. Why is it 9 is so important for Rebels in your opinion?
Okay, so that's because you can fit GP and Fizz without a Rebel Spat.
Got it.
If you have Rebel Spat or Fawn, you can stay on 8 if you hit your units. But if you're already like healthy, you have gold, you have your Jinx, and you're not bleeding fast, you can just go 9. Look for GP and ASOL then, because they're gonna be easier to find.
Got it. So it's usually
Fizz is just fucking broken, honestly. Yeah. Fizz is beyond broken, even after the nerfs. He's still really, really good. I think he's one of the best workhorses in the game. So I play that guy whenever I can.
For sure.
He's just great. And especially with Rebel Spat, he becomes a machine.
Yeah.
He deals tons of damage, literally. Like 5,000. He's doing 5k damage per ulti with Rebel Spat, easily.
And it's usually so it's Ezreal GP Fizz endgame for you. Usually.
Yep. I can screen share and show you the like some positioning. Oh, it's a camera. Sorry.
Sure.
Let's share screen. And quickly go on to this thing right here. There we go. Builder. See, everything looks fine. Yep. Okay, class. I gotta navigate through this real quick. I'm not that great on this builder thing. I use it a lot, but I can't find units. I keep forgetting which category they're under.
Same.
There we go, Rebel. Okay, but real quick, this guy's really good stage 2, 3, and okay stage 4 at 2-star with no items. It's a decent item holder as well, and especially because you can sell him because it gets really bad late game. He also gets a lot better because he's gonna ulti and CC something when he ultis. Mastery, he ultis and dies. Malphite costs 3 gold and does the exact same thing as Mastery. So that's a couple of rolls you save. So wait, that's not right. Where's Jinx? There we go. Jinx, Fizz, and Ezreal.
So you always put Jinx on back row, right? You don't put her in middle to get maximum red buff, right?
I put her here every now and then, and there are reasons for that. Let me just quickly put some core stuff on here. I want to put red buff here. The last couple items could be RFC, it could be Hurricane, it could be Deathblade, it could be Last Whisper, it could be Giant Slayer. I only make this item with Last Whisper though. I tend to, like, unless I have to make this, I have no other choice. Obviously, I'll make it, but it is so much better with Last Whisper.
Giant Slayer without Last Whisper kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's okay in some matchups. Like if you're playing only brawler players or like mechs, then it's still fine. But like against other players that don't have the 1750 HP, it becomes really bad without Last Whisper.
So your standard go-to is Deathblade, Red Buff, Last Whisper?
Yeah, it's usually Runons because it's easy to get these components. Like getting belt, vest, cloak, bow, it's usually pretty easy. It's uncontested most of the time except for vest, but I almost always start vest, so I have that one already. I don't have to worry about getting it later. And if I get multiple cloaks, I just make a spark and I make Runons, right? But I only make Runons after a red buff. I never make it without it, unless I have like no option and I already have a Deathblade or something. That's fine. So the last item, it's this, or it's gonna be this. I'll just put this for now because it could be anything. I do think red buff is the best here.
So red buff core,
graves.
Everything else is flexible. Deathblade's ideal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like IE too much. Yeah. Deathblade's the best damage item if you need damage out of Jinx, right? If you don't have, like, if you have a strong ASOL or a strong GP, strong Fizz, like if you have Rebel Spat Fizz,
it's not as important.
Yeah, you already have damage from this. You have damage from this guy. You have damage from ASOL. So Jinx is gonna reset no matter what, and once she resets, she does a lot of damage either way. Obviously, you're gonna do more with Deathblade or with IE than nothing, but it's just a lot worse. And also, if you get a lot of gloves and don't know what to do with them, and you think about going IE, you make Thieves gloves. You can put it on Fist. You can put it on Acel. They use both, like most of the items, really well. And like when Acel gets AD stuff, you at least get dodge. Or you get some resistance from like a BT. You get some magic resist or whatever. It's like it's only when you get like RFC and like a Shiv or something, it's gonna be pretty bad. But
And
then you're still left with dodge. So.
You keep Fizz on the same side as Jinx so that you get resets?
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay.
So when you position your Fizz, it's basically, if you're against a sniper, you really want to jump them. You can't always move everything in time before they spot you and then move accordingly, right? So if that's the case, you can move. You need to hit a Vayne or something to delay it, or you want to hit a Serath to stop it from ulting. You just move Fizz over there. If you have Gangplank already and this, you should probably be fine to get ultis off anyways. Or Jinx to reset rather. But if you need resets with Jinx, you want it same side for the most part. If you have Rebel Spat, you're stuck on the same side, so that kind of works. But let's go to the positioning thing. GP is almost always going to be here. Against Riven, you want to move him away from Riven if they have like a backline or a second row Annie or something. You put it against the Annie, and like say Riven's here. You wouldn't keep it in the middle because then he would walk towards Riven. Riven would ulti back here most of the time, and he would turn his ulti over here. Do nothing.
Okay.
So you would move him away from the Riven towards something else. Like if Riven's in the middle, you can put this here. Put your Ezreal like over here. This is Ezreal, by the way. And then Riven would go here. GP would go back, and at least hit something. Sometimes you can put him against Riven. Like if you,
so you'll
like
sacrifice
you'll
sacrifice Ezreal just to distract Riven.
Sorry?
You'll sacrifice Ezreal just to distract Riven here.
Yeah, absolutely. I sacrifice this guy all the time.
Okay.
I keep Ezreal 1 for them, like a lot of games too. I don't even get to upgrade him because I put a Zephyr on him and then I just sell it to move Zephyr again. Stuff like that. Because it's really hard to use Zephyr in Rebels. You have like 3 units to move. This, and this.
Yeah.
They can move quickly. But yeah, I sacrifice Ezreal all the time. He usually tends to ulti at 2-star, especially if you frontline him. He's gonna ulti either way, like almost every fight.
Sure.
But yeah, you want to make sure GP goes off against Riven. It's a gamble if she dashes into your team and GP misses. Sometimes it's a hit anyways, but if you can play around that fact, then you should. But for the most part, he's in the middle. That's like the only thing that changes. If you're against a Brawl or Blaster player, they have Gnar here, or stack here. You just move GP over here, right? So he doesn't work towards Gnar and ulti the wrong side.
Got it.
Because you really need GP to hit the backline and the Jinx especially. So that's how you beat the matchups really easily. You just stun their Jinx, and your Jinx pops off quicker because you have more damage, and you have more like burst that just lets her reset. And you can also aim fists, and you do this, and it's gonna hit everything. Everything just dies. Fist, their Jinx doesn't get to do anything because it gets GP ulted and Fist ulted, and everything's dead. But for the most part, GP's middle, and then easily just swap sides. It's hard in this builder, but swap sides whenever you need to. So this is why this positioning is really good, because swapping is a lot more easy than if you have it like this.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna move everything like this. So you can do it, but like it's not as consistent. You want Acel to be in corners to block blitz hooks. If there's no blitzcrank, move it up. Keep something in corner though, in case there's an infiltrator or something that you missed. But then you get an extra rebel buff on this.
If there's no blitzcrank, you want Acel to be closer, so
you just want to up 1 row because then you get 4 buffs instead of 2.
Oh, so Acel gets more buffs. Got it.
You get 22% more damage on Acel.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
And you also get bigger shields on him, so it's definitely worth moving him up here. This is for the pyramid positioning. You can also do stuff like this for. Sorry, there's a mosquito. Can't get it away. My bad. I got distracted for a second, but you can move around Malphite as well to buff something extra if you want to. It doesn't really matter if you buff these with 1 extra unit up here because they're usually just rebel bots. Sed's helps Fizz ulti quickly with the infiltrator buff. It's 40%. He's gonna attack a lot quicker, ulti a lot quicker. So Sed's actually pretty important, but it's not important that Sed does anything on his own. Really, I like him on this hex or this hex though, because then it's gonna hit the backline corner units a lot more consistently. Malphite can be here, could be here. It doesn't really matter. Same with Yasuo. Sed is fine here as well. If it's like a weak Sed, like a Sed 1 or something, I just put him here, give more buffs to Malphite. But that's for the pyramid. If you want to go into a corner, you can do this. That's fine. It's really good against snipers, like Astro Sniper or Vayne. Super good because you get more buffs and you get to be second row, so you're closer to everything. You also get to move up your front line if you want to. especially you can go here if you're up against a Jin, for example, or a weak, let's say weak cyber player that doesn't really have a Wukong or something. If they have a Wukong too and they put the Wukong here, you're gonna lose. So this is situational to move up here, but you can do it. It's pretty good. The same with Astral Snipers. You need to make sure you're dodging Gnar and Wukong. So it's like it works sometimes, but not always. Another really solid positioning thing or place to be, I guess, is just when you're in this position, instead of moving sides, you can just do this. This still should be here though. So basically, swap Jinx, move this up, swap that, or something like that.
Dodge that.
Give the most amount of buffs to Jinx, and you also get to be a third row. It's usually good against Cybers and more consistent than being up here or being here. Because you can swap around a lot easier. It's also really good when you're playing around Zephyr. What I see people do when the opponents are on Zephyr, their Jinx, and when you're in this position, instead of like, because moving here is pretty obvious and they could easily swap it. I see people try to do this, go out of here or here. What you do is you don't give her any buffs, so you lose a lot of damage. So you just go up here or here. You still get 4 buffs. And you have 2 more options. It's closer to move, and it's just generally better. Because she's best on the third row. Even better on this row, but she's super vulnerable. But third row is like, if you're safe on third, you should be third. But this has just become the norm now.
Just because she doesn't have to move at third?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much. But yeah, this way we want to be 9, you can play Fizz.
Got it.
Or GP. If you don't have GP, this could be Gnar. Like if you don't have GA, then I usually end up with Gnar. With random defensive items.
So going back to Jinx being on third row being the optimal, is that optimal because A, she doesn't have to move, B, she doesn't get targeted by infiltrators, and
still get hit by infiltrators for sure. It's just her range is 660. It's gonna hit without walking, so it's more damage more quickly. And sometimes she just walks randomly and just goes into everything.
Yeah, but you want to avoid that versus like Gnar and Wukong, basically.
Yeah. Because then you get fucked by this. I mean, there's more things like Fizz and stuff like that. If you're here, he's gonna land behind and always hit the stack. But if like if you're here, you can more easily just move around and fake swap. It's just like the repositioning is a lot easier, and she's generally safer on the back row because you can't really have things jump into corners and around her because you have 2 ranged units here, and this doesn't get hooked. No one tries to hook this ever because you have your. I like Ezreal over here, but that's just to spread out aggro. If someone's here and like there's an assassin, if you have Ezreal next to this, there's a Fist jumping this way. Instead of going here and ulting in this corner, it'll go here and ulti on your Jinx. So
keep
stuff like that's pretty key. I usually always keep him around here, unless I have to say this is GP, play around a Zephyr or something, then I just move him up to do this. Or go here. So he's basically just helping me position and keep my units safe. And then the ulti is nice from Ezreal, obviously. I should have just put Ezreal here. I didn't find him at first, but it should be this.
Cool.
Okay, because I'm rambling a lot about this comp, so we can go into the next game unless you have any questions.
No, this is great. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. My name is thatsPRIMAL, and this is Uzi, and we are on a journey to become a professional gamer. Yes, both of us. And that means a combination of making content, streaming, and competing in tournaments. So if you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really does help us on our journey to make this dream a reality. And we're going to be putting out content on a regular basis that's designed to help you get better at Teamfight Tactics. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.